Our board has provided to us a few initial prompts. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to share a prompt and then turn it to our respondents, a couple of each who will provide you with a response to those, and then an opportunity to turn it over to you. So with that, you've asked our respondents to consider, did the school quality review process help them build a common understanding of their school's strengths and weaknesses among their administrators, teachers, support staff, parents, and key community members? If you don't mind just reintroducing yourself.
Good evening. My name is Misha Karigasho, principal at Westlake Middle School. Thank you, Board of Directors, President Kakashiba, Superintendent Smith, for giving us this opportunity. So the question about, does the SQR process help build a common understanding of our school's strengths and weaknesses among our administrators, teachers, support staff, parents, and key community partners? And the answer is yes. Part of the value I felt of this SQR process was its credibility, because it wasn't just somebody coming in for a day, somebody taking a snapshot and leaving and trying to give a report. As David mentioned, we had people living in our home for 3 days. They just didn't come for a party and leave and said your house is cool, but they actually lived with us. And it was Oakland people who were living with us, Oakland principals, Oakland teachers, people who understood Oakland. And not only did they live with us for 3 days, but they talked with all of our stakeholders. They talked with me maybe just for half an hour. But at random times, I saw them with parents in the hallways, with teachers, custodians, SSOs, students. And that opportunity to live with us for 3 days, unlike any other thing that I've experienced, gave this kind of report some credibility to it. And then the question is, did it share? I think one of those images was about a mirror, looking at, did it show what I thought I saw at my school? And as a leader, a lot of times we assume things. And as we know, is when we assume, sometimes we're right, sometimes people are like, you're assuming and where's your information? Thankfully, this report, because of the credibility it had with the people who were there, it reaffirmed the assumptions that I was sharing with our staff. And that gave me credibility as a leader about the direction and the areas that we needed to focus on. And so for me, that was a huge piece. Part of then kind of narrowing our focus, because this report is very comprehensive and we can't do everything at once. However, the stages that it took, and I think there were 4 primary stages that had happened. One, that they were living with us for 3 days. 2, before the report was even put out, they came back with a summary of the report to our key stakeholders before it was disseminated. And we did catch something that was like, wait a second, this big piece is missing. And again, unlike most things, the report goes out, that's what's said and done, and there's no way for our family to take care of that. And this was our big piece was our Family Resource Center, and which is a huge component of our school. But the way that the structures were done allowed us to get this information in. Then once all the stakeholders felt, yes, this is a representation of our school, the SQR team that came to our school helped lead us through in small groups and breakthrough sessions to kind of outline what were some of the things that we've noticed that are true about our school, what are our strengths, what are our weaknesses. And it helped us really define and narrow down what were the things that were standing out to us. And through that small group process, and then to our last staff meeting, we as a school got to identify 3 areas through that SQR process, even though there was more than 3 that we probably need to work on, but 3 key ones that really stood out to us. And some of those examples are family communication, family support opportunities, and classroom systems that produce rigor and engage students. One particular piece of the family communication, I'll give you an example, is our 6th grade, and this is from our parents and our kids, our 6th grade teachers had a great way of being able to have relationships with our parents so that our 6th grade parents knew exactly what was going on in the classroom. They knew exactly how to help their students and families, and this was all across 6th grade. But when it got to 7th and 8th grade, it was kind of hit and miss. And there are different reasons why that happened. But as a parent and understanding that, and I knew that as a principal, but always trying to explain it to my staff, sometimes there's different reasons and excuses. But now that these people who are living with us that interviewed parents and took that time to do it, this isn't just coming from me as an administrator, these are coming from all of our stakeholders. And so that was kind of that movement that our staff said, okay, yes, we need to definitely identify some work. And so that began a process of taking a strength at our school and how do we build it school-wide for everybody else as well. And so that is one example of that the SQR process helped us move through that piece.
My name is John Mayer. I'm over at Chabot Elementary, and I would just kind of reiterate what Misha had said about the relationships that were built. The people that came in, that led the SQR process. Our school at first was a little nervous, like, okay, are they coming in to get us? You know, there's a lot of anxiety about having somebody come and set up shop for 3 full days, 5 people, and they're there all the time. They're watching how kids get dropped off, how they get picked up, everything, your playground. And so the relationships that were built and the coming out beforehand, talking to us, they got our PTA to do some reflection. They came to our school site council and talked to us. So people, by the time they were there was already some confidence that this process was going to be supportive. There's still a lot of anxiety because people, you know, I think there's a history of, are people going to come get us? But the relationship that was built got carried out, and just as Misha had walked through the process. So after it was over, people came back, walked through our report. And what I really like how it was helpful is they do highlight the strengths and they capture what you think you're good at, what you may or may not be good at. And then when they look at your areas for growth, they call it areas for growth, challenges, it gave us the push that we needed in the areas we needed to move on in a way that by myself I couldn't, or I have a teacher on special assignment, the 2 of us, but they do what we call triangulating the information. So if they find one disgruntled child who we're not reaching, or they find one parent who's not happy, or if they find one teacher that's not happy, they go and talk to other people about that same issue. So what's really useful is this isn't just one random opinion. They've done so many talking to so many people in so many different ways. Like at our site, Misha gave an example of his site, we had issues around the achievement gap, around equity, around engaging all of our families. And so it's something we know, it's something we've been working at very hard. It's my 8th year, but this has given us the impetus to really tackle it. We've already had, last night we had an equity night. We have an equity team that's been developed on, 11 of our 23 teachers have stepped up on this and looking around high engagement strategies like, you know, the Kagan strategies. We've brought in Shraki Holly, and it's given us the impetus to move because, like he said, it wasn't like, you know, win the award for, the state, what's the blue collar award. You know, it wasn't coming in and you're bragging about what you're doing. It was really what is going on. So it's just so solid and 360 degrees.
So a second question that the board has provided us is, did the SQR process help our school leadership team develop a more useful and ambitious site plan?
Good evening, Dr. Smith and board directors. First and foremost, the SQR tool provided us with a lens from us to view our entire community school. And looking through that lens, we were able to examine our academic, social, and emotional focal points. And from that, really delve deep into what is working and where are the areas we need to improve. So in sum, for all of that, it gave us an opportunity to see what we already knew and things that we did not know. So to answer your question, definitely, absolutely. The advantage for Westlake going through the SQR process helped us to press pause for a moment because we're always on the treadmill because everything is of urgency. So it helped us to press pause. And then based on when we pressed pause, we were able to step back and ask ourselves and each other questions about what are we doing. And then based on that information that SQR provided us with, it was the impetus that pushed the administration team, which consists of Misha Kadigasha as the principal, his 2 assistant principals, and myself as the lead agency director. So we are now weekly meeting and talking about, from the SQR tool, where do we want to go, how do we want to get there, and what are we going to do to push us forward? Thank you.
And I'm on question 2 also here. So the way it helped us with our school site plan, I already referred a little bit to where it pushed us around equity issues, but it gave a voice to some of our teachers who'd been want to push on these equity issues to our families, and it just validated the work that we really needed to do and been trying to do all along. So we have to redo our site plan each year, or update it. And so there's a lot of areas they said are strengths, so I'm not really bothering updating that site part. But the part where the feedback we got from the SQRs, where we're really going after updating our CSSP based on the information we got on the SQR. So it's been really helpful to give us impetus to just move in the areas that we needed to improve on.
The final prompt provided from the board was, did the SQR process help our school leadership team become more accountable for achieving results as per our site plan?
So the question about did it help us become more accountable for achieving results? And I wrote down, and I'm thinking, in the true sense, no. It didn't help me become more accountable, but what it gave me was the urgency that the work needs to be done. I think that was one of the things I valued about the SQR going into the process, which John explained, was some of the anxiety about what this possible audit, is this going to be used for closing a school, getting rid of a principal, that there was a lot of anxiety when we were having people come in our homes. But this was not how it was framed to us, and the message that we kept sharing with our staffs is that this isn't about an accountability, this is you get this done or you're gone. This is about allowing people to open themselves up and speak freely about what's going well, what's not going well in their school to better serve children. And so the message that I received and the message I'm sending is that it wasn't an accountability, but it was an urgency thing that our staff together as a staff of students, of teachers, of parents, of families, all our stakeholders, our lead agencies, that it helped us have a common understanding of where our kids' needs and family needs are and moving from that piece. It also allowed us, we talked about shared leadership. Valerie and I, being the lead agency of Eagle Village, housed inside Westlake, and we've been that way for 10 years. It also made our shared leadership between the after-school program that she oversees, the mental health program she oversees, and the family resource center she oversees. Those are all the wraparound services for our families and kids that have to be connected in our full-service community schools. And so this SQR process really hit home of, we need to make sure that it's not just Misha's saying this and Misha's doing this, but what are our key stakeholders and the information we're getting from the SQR, and how are we as leaders of all the different parts of our school coming together to form our plan. But then what we also noticed about the plan, and as the difficulties of this plan, that plan, SQR information, after school toolkit plan, C3SP plan, is that there are a lot of different plans. And we were just in our last couple of weeks of how do we align all these together so that Valerie and her after school program coordinator aren't just doing the after school plan, that Misha and his SSC and his parent groups are just doing the C3SP, that we're getting the information from the SQR, and I know the high schools have other plans and stuff, but ideally, and I know that's where we want to move, is that C3SP being our living document to move everything that we're doing at school. And so we've begun that conversation. How do we take all these different pieces and information to make it one plan? And part of, as we're meeting and as we're trying to plan and improve, at the same time running an effective school, things aren't moving as fast as we want. And that's one of the questions. What's that next step? How do we make sure this implementation of what we've learned through SQR and the information gets into our site plan, gets aligned, resources allocated to it, so that there's some actions that are happening after that. And I think that's the part now that we are thinking about, talking about, and also looking for help about, of actually getting this information in one aligned plan to actually implement it into our schools.
I have one more that was going to provide a response.
You actually summed it all up. That I just want to echo. We have many plans that we're responsible for, and to bring them all together to make one comprehensible living document would be greatly appreciated. But again, the SQR tool has helped us to have these meaningful conversations around how to do that. And from that, then we can hold each other accountable, as well as our other stakeholders and so forth. So thank you.